go. Big attack now. Can he hang on in the OVO Energy Tour of Britain? Lines up for the sprint. Can he steal this one? 1 kilometre to go now. Is he going to take the stage? Yes, he is.
Hello, it is a beautiful sunny day here in Manchester. We made it through Friday the 13th, but I'm afraid the end really is nigh, my friends. It is the last stage of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. It has been a battle royale all week between two men in particular, Matteo Trentin and Mathieu van der Poel, and yesterday was no different.
As the peloton rolled out of Warwick Racecourse for the start of Stage 7, little did the riders know that it would virtually be a gallop all the way to the line. The teams wanted to put the green jersey under pressure and attacked from the off. At the first iceberg sprint of Berkswell, Van der Poel and Trentin fought for the time bonuses, with the Dutchman extending his lead by gaining the 3 bonus seconds on offer. A quartet looked like they'd broken free, but there was a swift counter and everything was once again back together. Team Ineos and Mitchelton Scott continued to apply the pressure to Corendon Circus, who had to call for more supplies and instructions from the team car. Finally, after 60 kilometres of racing, Dylan van Baarle and Cameron Mayer were allowed up the road. These two then rolled through the remaining sprints and Skoda King of the Mountains climbs, with Jacob Scott picking up valuable points by jumping off the front of the chasing peloton. Great crowds greeted the cyclists when they came through Burton Dasset Country Park for the first time, and were rewarded with a high five from one of Britain's greatest ever riders. Having seen the climb the first time, it all kicked off again after pass number 2. Van Baarle was eventually caught by a posse of 5, but they were rounded up on the final ascent. Then Mathieu and Matteo went head-to-head again.
Van der Poel lines it up now, 150 metres to go towards the line. Van der Poel is there, Trentin shakes the head. Van der Poel's going to go clear for another stage victory. Trentin didn't have it, holds his hand up. Van der Poel takes the stage again. Trentin, what can I do?
The two men shaking hands at the finish in mutual respect. The lead in the green jersey classification now extended to 12 seconds for Van der Poel, with only one stage remaining.
Joined here in Manchester once again by my trusty road captain Janto Barker. And Janto, I said there, it's been a battle royale between Trentin and Van der Poel all week, a right old ding-dong. There's only 12 seconds separating them as we come into today's final stage, so anything still could happen.
Yeah, it's not over until they cross this line for the last time. I think Trentin, he's a sportsman, but he's going to be on autopilot, which means he'll be in for the kill if he can.
I mean, look, his exertions would impress anybody watching this race, but really Van der Poel's efforts have lit this thing up.
He is such a class act and capable of winning in so many different ways, and this is a great place for him to, you know, show those talents.
As you know, if you like cycling, that a lot of it is based on sponsorship, and the OVO Energy Tour of Britain is no different. Our benefactors, OVO Energy, do a lot with the race, but they also do a lot with cycling outside of the Tour of Britain. Have a look at this now.
A very warm welcome to the OVO Energy Innovation Showcase.
We want to live in a world where everyone chooses to cycle.
There's a huge amount of really groundbreaking stuff that I'm hearing about, and I can't wait to see those pictures.
Designed to show how cycling can directly reduce our carbon emissions.
So the ideas here are genuinely things that I would invest in as a company, and that would make me go, oh, I just want to have a go at that. And that's exactly what we were after.
The potential saving in carbon emissions is millions of tonnes.
I've loved seeing the young people come up with their different ideas, using their science and maths with their passion and creativity to come up with solutions that will help them in everyday lives, but would help other people as well.
Janto, it's easy to fall into the trap when we're both keen cyclists and people watching are keen cyclists to think that Britain is a cycling nation now, but we're still behind the likes of the Netherlands and Denmark when it comes to participation.
I agree, and using this race sponsorship to activate further, to get more people on bikes, just in the activity of cycling, not necessarily of the sport, I think is a really, really good thing and a legacy that should be, you know, pushed very hard.
Absolutely. Back to today's race now. It is a tour of 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester today for the final stage. Let's have a closer look now.
Starting in Altrincham and visiting all 10 boroughs, the 3 Skoda KOM climbs could prove decisive, starting with Werneth Low, then Grange Bar, before the infamous Cat 1 climb through the town of Ramsbottom. The Rake, as it's more commonly known, could prove to be where the whole tour is won or lost. For those riders still left at the head of the field of the course, there's a final iceberg sprint at Horwich near Bolton to contest, before racing into the city centre with the OVO Energy green jersey winner crossing the line on Deansgate. Altrincham is a market town in the Trafford borough of Greater Manchester. On the outskirts is the Grade 1 listed Dunham Massey Hall, but it's the town centre that was named Best High Street in England last year in 2018.
Altrincham Market is a great community hub. Not only do we have a brilliant place for people to come with their families, I think the market changing and developing the way it has brought so much more businesses and people into the town. It's fantastic.
The stage will visit all 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester, finishing up in the city centre, close to the original Roman heart of the city. A nearly a mile-long Deansgate, where the race finishes, is the main road through Manchester city centre and lined by some of its most important buildings.
At the Grand Tours, like the Vuelta that's on at the moment, the last stage is a bit of a procession. We'll see that in Madrid tomorrow. But here at the Tour of Britain, they race right up to the line at the end.
Absolutely, and there are still very small time gaps between the GC contenders, and so it's all still to play for, and they know that. So the racing is hot and contested all the way to the finish.
How's it likely to finish? Could it be a bunch sprint today? Because there's a lot of climbing as they do their circuit of Greater Manchester.
There is a lot of climbing, quite a lot of unclassified climbing actually, but I do feel like the sprinters will be keen to get to the finish today and contest the win, so I think that's how it's going to play out.
It's been a long week of racing to get here to stage 8 in Greater Manchester, so let's hear from some of the riders who've completed it now.
How are you feeling this morning for today?
I think the legs are still good, but yesterday was a really hard day. Many teams tried to attack us, and yeah, maybe they'll do so again today, but I think today there are some more teams that want to have a bunch sprint at the end, so let's hope we get some help.
Yeah, barring disaster, I believe it's all good. But I'm also on a lot of home training roads early on, so that'll definitely be nice. And yeah, I think a fair few people out supporting on the second climb, so it's obviously quite a special stage. But we'll see how it goes in the beginning and see how the legs feel towards the end.
I thought, yeah, if I could get away, I could probably try and tie up the jersey yesterday and relax today, but it didn't go that way. So I didn't quite bounce back the way I was hoping to post-crash, having a few problems with my ribs and things like that. So yeah, hopefully I've done the hardest part now and just need to see it home.
Apart from the two guys at the top of GC, some other names to look out for today as they sprint more than likely into the finish here in Manchester. Groenewegen once again, his lead-out man Mike Turnison, Jesper de Boist as well, could all perhaps benefit here from a fast finish. Anyway, that's enough from me. Time to hand you over to the commentary team of Rob Hales and Martin McDonald.
Thanks, Matt. As you can see, beautiful sunny day here in Altrincham for the start of the final stage of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. 166 kilometres awaits the riders. The big question there, can Mathieu van der Poel defend that lead? His Corendon Circus team as we get underway. They defended well yesterday, and they took everything that the teams threw at them. Mathieu van der Poel was isolated at the end, but he managed to defend against all of the attacks, and then you saw him taking again another phenomenal stage victory at the top of Burton Dasset Country Park, and everyone now saying on that sort of finish, he is the best man in the world when you look at that sort of finish. Absolutely phenomenal crowds here on the rollout as we have had all week. Rob, again, the weather's been kind to us, but again, British racing fans have done us proud.
They certainly have, and look at that incredible scenes here at the start. And a lot of the fans out there will have seen the British jerseys out there. And yep, we've got some great racing roads today, some difficult roads. Should come down to a sprint finish, but could be a depleted peloton. But this man here, well, He should be there or thereabouts because the form that he has got. Jacob Scott there on the right-hand side as well. He's got a job to do because Dylan van Baal, he's only 15 points behind in the mountains competition. And we do have several of those coming up in the first half of today's stage.
So rolling out of Altrincham here this morning. So Trafford as 4 town centres, Sale, Stretford, Urmston and Altrincham. Altrincham has reinvented itself. The crowds are out, the sun shines out. As we head towards kilometre 0, we'll take a short break. Back soon.
Welcome back to the final and decisive stage of the 2019 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Once the flag dropped, a break was allowed to get away, and the 3 lucky men were Matt Holmes, Gabs Calaig and Emil Vinjabo. They rolled through the first iceberg sprint at Hazel Grove and then the steep climb of Werneth Low. The riders were once again greeted by huge crowds along the route in every town around Manchester. The trio are still nearly 2 minutes clear as they approach the second sprint at Upper Mill.
1 kilometre to go to the Upper Mill sprint. Gabs Calaig leading out from Emil Vinjabo. Matt Holmes on the back here, just taking the opportunity to just grab some food out of his pockets. He will want to make sure that he takes maximum bonus seconds at this one. The gap is coming down, so you can see 17th in GC at 1:27. So those bonus seconds have moved him up a place. But great to see someone going on the in search of those places and trying to move himself up in the standings. So Alex Camp was just ahead of him. If he can take some more bonus seconds, he might get up to leapfrog Ben Swift. Matt Holmes rides through to the front here. Calaig and Vinjabo know that this man needs these bonus seconds. So again, in the breakaway group, there is just that respect from these riders. No one's going to challenge Rory Townsend for the Iceberg Sprints jersey. So they're going to go through. Matt Holmes now rolls through the line, takes another 3 seconds. So the Madison Genesis rider is gradually just eating into his deficit. So Vinjabo goes through, then Calaig. Confirmation of your Upper Mill sprint. Matt Holmes from Vinjabo and Gabs Calaig. We're on to Grains Bar. This is a 2.4 kilometre climb, 5.5% average gradient. So the summit will come with 101.4 kilometres to go.
Yeah, and I think when you look in the past, you have had those characters who have made it without the kind of the system behind them. I think what the system has been able to do in British cycling and the world-class performance plan is basically take those riders who do have the talent but might not necessarily have found a way to get themselves there on their own. They've been able to give them a bit more of a pathway. And for those who don't make it on the British cycling scene, there are things like the Dave Rayner Fund that help riders, and there are a number of riders here. James Shaw, who we've seen, who came through that, got himself onto World Tour with Lotto Sodolic. He's off World Tour at the moment, but really performing here superbly well, and hopefully can get himself back into the top level. But the crowds that we're seeing, and that's the thing, you look at cycling as a whole in general, and the following is superb. It couldn't really get any better, could it? It's incredible to see, and we do see the crowds throughout the globe in world cycling. I think Colombia is probably one of the only nations as a little bit of well, it's good fun, isn't it, out there? And it's good to see people getting out but allowing the riders to do their thing, not getting involved. As we do see in some of the other races.
Yeah, you don't want to be running alongside in your cycling shoes, because that could end in tears as well, definitely.
It can be expensive as well, depending on your pedal system.
The peloton start the climb. Kern Baumann, Lasse Norman Hansen, Jimmy Janssens very much to the front here. You can see some of the sprinters as well trying to move themselves up towards the front. Andy Tennant just on the back here from Canyon DHB, the road captain of that team. on Grains Bar here. You can see huge crowds out as the Breakaway ride through. Emil Vinjabo of Rewell Readiness, he took maximum points over the first climb of the day. Holmes and Calaig are along just on the wheel here, out of the saddle. They're going to let the Rewell rider look at it ride through. For Matt Holmes, it's all about the general classification. He's been pulling back bonus seconds. Look at the wind at the summit here. Very, very windy at the top.
Well, we were saying this at the start. It was nice protected roads with the hedgerows, but once you get up onto the tops here, where it gets exposed, and look at that wind, just trying to see the exact direction of it. Looks, well, certainly coming across from the left. Is it in their face or slight tailwind? Difficult to tell at the moment.
Gabs Calaig crests the summit of Grains Bar. He takes maximum points there. So Calaig from Holmes, from Vinjabo. And then we'll see that sprint behind. Trio here, their gap has grown steadily. So the attack from kilometre zero, if you're just joining us today, the gap grew steadily at about 150, just over 150 kilometres ago. They were 1 minute and 30 up. With 135 kilometres ago, they were at 2:56, and you can see the gap now down a touch under 2 minutes now, 1 minute and 52 seconds. Matthew van der Poel here, your overall leader. This is it's a good scenario at the moment for Corendon Circus. Matt Holmes up there, again, it shifts the focus and the attention away from Matteo Trentin. All of these bonus seconds that Matt Holmes is taking are all bonus seconds that Matteo Trentin's not eating into his lead.
There's Manchester in the distance. And, the loop, the anti-clockwise loop that these riders are riding to get themselves round and back into Manchester in a little while.
Dries de Bont nonchalantly just riding off the front here. The battle this week between him and Jacob Scott's been great, and de Bont third with 32 points. He'll want to move himself up in that competition. And for Scott, again, I'm sure we'll just see him get up towards Dries de Bont here, Koen Bouwman, because again, we saw Jacob Scott second day in that jersey, and he had a few points sort of stolen away from him right on the line, where he was just trying to not sprint too much, try and save his energy a little bit. But maybe we'll see a bit of a sprint towards the top. Not seeing that group on the line. Here we go. So de Bont takes that one ahead of Cavendish. Renshaw, rather, sorry. I was thinking he's seeing something and saying something else. Apologies. So Dries de Bont.
Mark, just say Mark.
Just Mark, yes, sorry. So Mark Renshaw rides over the top there. For Jacob Scott, it's just, you can see there, again, mature riding. He's seeing that Dylan van Baal's not going for these King of the Mountains. He knows Dries de Bont it's going to take a lot for Dries de Bont to close that sort of gap.
Yeah, so just smart riding, because we've got the tougher roads to come, and he's happy to just sit back, lose a couple of points to de Bont, but his overall advantage not really diminished. And yeah, the fact that Dylan van Baal hasn't shown his face there, well, that's certainly good news.
Confirmation of your King of the Mountains result at Grains Bar. Gabs Calaig went over the top ahead of Matt Holmes and Emil Vinjabo. Dries de Bont taking fourth and 3 points. So inside 100 kilometres to go off today's stage. Our gap is 1 minute and 57 seconds. Look at this. So this shot here, you can see Sunweb, multiple jerseys in there for Sunweb. Ben Hermans, we can see him there for the Israel Cycling Academy team. There's Jasper de Burst around this group here. So very select group. Connor Swift, I think, is in there as well. Got a couple of the British Great Britain national team jerseys that are in here.
Just one AG2 Mondial rider making it into this group. But the British squad doing a fantastic job getting themselves in with a few numbers.
So Ben Swift at the bottom of your picture there, Dylan van Baal. Mikael Golash, they'll be the riders that will use themselves up on this one. Cameron Mayer has also made it into this group for Mitchelton Scott. Eduardo Affini there, so this riders here. So 4 riders driving on from Mitchelton Scott and Team Ineos, just combining here at the front of this one. We're heading towards Ramsbottom Rake. Will we see a point where this the riders, the select riders in this group for the general classification, decide to go on the attack? Looking down the top 10, so going into today's stage, there's Dylan Groenewegen alongside Johnny McAvoy here. He's in a group off the back of the leaders. 46 seconds is the gap between the first and second groups on the road. Mathieu van der Poel, we do know, is up in that leading group. Matteo Trentin, we also know he's there. Jasper de Burst is in here as well. Pavel Sivakov, Niels Pollitt, Gianni Moscon, Mike Turnison, Andre Amador, Tej Benoot and Armand Grøndal Jansen. All of our top 10 have made it into this group.
Dare I say it, there's a few engines up in that front group.
There certainly are, and they're steaming on here. Dylan van Baarle on the front. So going into Ramsbottom there, the East Lancashire Railway. There's a lot of visitors on to Ramsbottom Rake. This is the climb that we are waiting for, the final categorised climb of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. And you can see average gradients of 12, maximum gradients of 19.9%. Pavel Sivakov now goes on the attack for Ineos. This man who sits 4th in the general classification at 42 seconds. One of the most successful stage race riders of the year. Sivakov has been set up perfectly by his teammates. Now he goes on the offensive on this climb. And at the moment, no one able to respond. And it's the teammates of Van der Poel that have got to do the work now to pull back Pavel Sivakov. They'll try to see if the Corridor Circus riders, if they can get rid of those teammates of Van der Poel and then start to jump him.
Well, the issue for Sivakov, he's got that gap, but top left-hand screen, 72.6k. That is the distance to be done, to be covered over the back end of this race between here and the finish. It's difficult for him. Probably hoping that 1 or 2 could have come with him, but they've got to take the race by the scruff of the neck. He's just looking over his shoulder, which shows that he's not quite confident, I don't think, in his abilities. He's obviously hurting. There you can see the effort, but the effort being put on the front of the peloton as well, and no doubt this group will get split down just a little bit more. Mike Turnison is there, just up towards the front for Jumbo-Visma. Well, if they take him into the finish, then he could certainly pull off a victory, but a long way to go yet on this climb.
Pavel Sivakov digging in on the climb now for Team Ineos, being roared on by what we know is an enormous crowd on this climb. 10 seconds is the gap back to the chasing group. 56 seconds back to the next group on the road. And just out on the saddle, Mathieu van der Poel with Philippe Valsleben in front of him. They set this up perfectly. Everyone would have been expecting it to come on Ramsbottom Rake. They used that drag just before they started that descent down into Ramsbottom. And Pavel Sivakov just taking this climb in his stride here as well.
Absolute superb crowds. And just negotiating his way through. He's got to get himself over the top and then try and recover as best he can, and then he's in full time trial mode. But at the moment, he's putting everybody under the cosh, and that's the thing. They didn't allow everyone to get to the foot of this climb fresh. We would have seen a real explosion on the climb. But what they did, they put everybody under pressure to start with.
Pavel Sivakov goes over the top of the King of the Mountains point, takes maximum points there. Valsleben, Van der Poel, Clark, Dunbar all follow him across. That's the Category 1 King of the Mountains point. No threats to Jacob Scott. That means that he is the King of the Mountains in this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. You see the riders behind here just scrabbling for positions on this climb. Ramsbottom Rake, the final categorised King of the Mountains of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Pavel Sivakov takes maximum points ahead of Valsleben and Van der Poel. But the winner of this year's Skoda King of the Mountains competition, Jacob Scott from Swift Carbon Pro Cycling. Now it's Luke Durbridge that's here. I think we're going to get attacks from Ineos all the way in here. It looks like they are. We just saw a burgundy jersey go, and it's Mikhail Golash that now goes on the attack. So they're just attacking all of the time here to try and line this one up.
Yep, they're trying to soften everybody up, but it's a difficult job when there are so many riders active on the front. For a lone rider like Golash to go clear, it's really difficult. So difficult, in fact, and it's limited to the amount of damage that he is actually doing, because the riders that they're trying to do the damage to really they're all protected, trying to soften up their teammates. And looks like Moscon now having a dig on the left-hand side.
Andre Amador reacts. Is that Mark Christian that's up here as well? So Moscon, so Ineos are just attacking one after the other. Van der Poel's got Vergade and Valschleben with him.
Splitting the group, they are doing some damage a little bit further back, and look, there is now a real select splinter group going off the front here.
So that attack there by Gianni Moscon, Andre Amador up here, so we've got a real race on our hands. Van der Poel, though, is in this group. Van der Poel defends. Amador is there. Van der Poel's got the teammate with him.
Well, Moscon is now the next danger man for Team Ineos. Moscon sitting at 6th, 51 seconds back. And he sits equal on time with Niels Pollitt from Katusha.
Again, react. You can see that gap is just holding. De Bont is fighting to try and stay in here, to maybe give Van der Poel a little bit more riding. Can he give him anything else? Battling to try and stay on the back of this group. Gianni Moscon, the man who launched the move. Warbasser comes up here as well for AG2R Le Mondial. Amador, there's the glance back. So Trentin's got some allies as well with Jasper de Burst. Trentin and de Burst trying to come across the gap here. So that group behind almost back with him, and it's Matteo Trentin that's having to do the work to bring it back. There's Jack Bauer.
Yeah, Bauer just policing things. Warbass goes through for AG2R Le Mondial, former champion from the United States, former road champion. Things get nullified a little bit now. 64k to go as Mark Christian has a move, has a dig, and throws a gauntlet down the Manxman for Wiggins-LeCol. Well, it was a steady start, wasn't it, for the peloton, but now it really is kicking off. Tanel Kanga there in third wheel, EF Education.
Jake Stewart, the British rider that's in there as well. So the Great Britain national team rider that's made it into this split is Jake Stewart, with still 64 kilometres to go. And we have got a race on our hands here. This is very much a stage of two halves. We hope that Ramsbottom Rake could be decisive. It was the drag before that proved to be so. Simon Clark in there for EF Education first. Van der Poel is doing the right thing. He's just trying to defend here. But it's the Wiggins-LeCol man on the front. Amador has a little look around. Amador now goes again for Movistar. We are 63.6 kilometres to go. Those two chasers behind, trying to get on. And here come Ineos again. So the reaction from Team Ineos. Again, Sivakov goes. He recognises this could be a group to go with. Teish Benoit is crossing the gap. Jake Stewart right on the wheel for the Great Britain national team. Sivakov gets in there. Now through to the front again. So this group, you can see, swelling in numbers all the time. Mark Christian, there, the Wiggins-LeCol rider. Doing a great ride here, Mark Christian, to be in here, challenging the fighting with that group. There's Jake Stewart, the Great Britain national team rider, rides on the road with the FDJ development team. Amador goes on the attack here. I think also in that group, so just to update you on your Movistar riders, I'm pretty sure we got Carlos Verona and Mikael Lander in there for you Movistar fans. It's utterly relentless here at the moment, isn't it?
It's bonkers, isn't it? It's just one punch after another.
Looking at this though, the way this has gone so far, there's a 12-second gap on the general classification between Mathieu van der Poel and Matteo Trentin. We've got one intermediate sprint to come in 6 kilometers time. The 3 seconds have gone up the road here unless they really do something to bring Amador back quite quickly. Trentin's going to want those 2 seconds, isn't he?
He's going to need them. If he wants to win the race, he's going to need them.
Because what come the finish, 10, 6 and 4 on the line, Trentin on the full-out sprint, you would say, looking at this group as well, get a closer look. I think Mike Turnisson's in there. Jasper de Burst can sprint as well. So what Trentin's got to do, pick up the 2 seconds, hope that Van der Poel doesn't get one, into the finish. Got to try and gap Van der Poel on the line as well, because if he can get level, then it comes to count back and that kind of thing.
Starts to get interesting then. Yeah, it really is a big task for him, but he's got to put himself in a position to be able to do that. It's no good sitting back and not sprinting for them. And even if he does lead out, we may see that Van der Poel takes it from him anyway, just to seal the deal.
Big move from the back of the group here.
Like Simon Clark.
Here's a pink jersey now going on the attack. Has decided that he's waited long enough, and the gap now goes out, and it is Simon Clark that now goes on the attack. And again, a great example of where to launch your move from. He got to the front, he was already going like an express train, and he's all now got the gap. He wants to go in search of Andre Amador.
I think this is what Amador needs, you know. He was not struggling out there, but they're not letting it go though. So Clark is going to have a hard task on his hands here.
Yep, this is a big move, and they know it. And they're not allowing that to go at all. Clark 11th on GC, 58 seconds back. But if he can get himself up with Amador, obviously that will really add some firepower, and they know that. Mitchelton Scott not wanting that to go at all.
Amador's right down on the top tube on this descent. Simon Clark was doing the same, but pedaling at the same time. 45 seconds.
The speed they're going to be going down here, they're going to be over 70k now for sure, and it's rapid. But
now we're getting in towards the next intermediate sprint. We're not far away from that now. And he will look for that 1k to go to the sprint. Amador still in his tucked descending position. Back onto the brake levers now. Lines up. Here he goes in towards the line. So there's sprint point here for Andre Amador. It's going to take 3 bonus seconds here on the final iceberg sprint of the race. Amador goes through there. Simon Clark is chasing the bonus seconds behind. I've seen the aerial shot here still. Mitchelton Scott now on the front. Looks like Clark's been swept up. They want the points here. They want the seconds for Trentin. Mathieu van der Poel is right on the wheel now of Matteo Trentin. As we said, this could come down to the sprints. So 2 seconds here. And again, you see Lasse Norman Hansen, or is it Dries de Bont now? Dries de Bont moves up to try and help. Mathieu van der Poel puts himself just in front of Trentin. Van der Poel has to try and come the long way round. And a great defense there by the Coroner Circus team, but Matteo Trentin still managed to take 1 second, and it's the teammate of the week, you would say, Dries de Bont, that comes through to take it.
Well, he's now down to 11 seconds behind Trentin. If he can take the win today and the 10-second time bonus, and Van der Poel outside, he still loses by a second. So that was disastrous.
Stage
stage 8, and we are in Manchester for today's final kilometre. Let's have a look and see what the riders are going to encounter. So, past the kite, and at about 800 to go, we take this right-hand turn, just there, and then the slight drag all the way to 300 metres to go. They're not really going to notice this, to be honest, at about 55 k's an hour, but there's going to be a big fight into the last corner, which is a left-hander coming up with about 300 metres to go. Here we go, coming up. Left-hander. Going to need to dive in here, get it just right. Take the fastest line, and then it's a tailwind kick. Probably want to come out of that corner, second or third wheel, and then here's 200 metres to go. It's a very fast finish. Slight tailwind, slightly downhill, full kick to the line. And a lunge to the line. That is a very fast tailwind finish. It depends how selective the rest of the stage has been as to who's going to contest it, but I do expect it to be tight on the line.
Trentin starts to tighten his shoes in that light blue jersey in the centre of your picture. He's got to be a favourite for this one. Cameron Mayer now starts to move up in the yellow and black, the teammate of Matteo Trentin. They will want some more firepower in this lead out if they can get it.
Feeney, it is on the front for Mitchelton Scott. And then Jesper de Burst, his teammates are there, also lining up, trying to set things up here for this sprint.
They are indeed, and Movistar just start moving up towards the front as well. Carlos Barbero is a handy sprinter. I've got to get see if we can find Carlos Barbero's number. So Movistar getting up here as well, trying to get in on the action at the front. 3.3 kilometres to go. Still Mitchelton Scott, Lotte Sydal, Matteo Trentin, the winner into Kelso. Up on the outside come the Great Britain national team. Van der Poel in the centre, right on the wheel of his closest rival, Lotte Sydal. They're working for Jesper de Burst. Can he win the stage? Kees de Bol for Team Sunweb just getting moved up as well. Is that Matt Walls potentially? Let's have a look. He was up there on the Birkenhead stage. 2.8 to go, swinging left.
Yep, this is that big left-hander. And then it's straight down here for around about 600 metres, straight running. And then it's about 110-degree right-hander as Moscon goes on the left-hand side of our shop.
Moscon now goes. Alexander Kamp trying to get onto him here for Rival Readiness. Moscon trying to steal the stage here for Ineos. Try and take this stage. They've thrown everything at it. Can they take it? Kamp, those a fast finisher. Mitchelton Scott, Luke Durbridge on the front. They're not going to let anything go here. They want to set this up for Matteo Trentin. Again, they have done a great job today for the man in that light blue jersey who sits second in the general classification. Kamp just manages to distance them slightly. Mitchelton Scott still got the control over the front of this peloton. The green jersey of Mathieu van der Poel right on the wheel of Matteo Trentin. He's not going to let him go anyway, but Mathieu van der Poel as well might fancy his chances in this sprint. They go out of that corner. 2 kilometres to go. It's Durbridge on the front.
Yep, and they've got a technical section in a moment through 1.8k to go. They've got a big left-hander, and then a left, a right, and then another right.
Swinging left with 1.7k to go. They're looking for that Flamme Rouge across the road. Trentin hunting for another stage victory. Mathieu van der Poel just making sure that he defends this jersey. That 12-second buffer, that gap as well that he opened going in after yesterday's stage at the top of Burton Dasset Country Park. You can see how comfortable he is right on the wheel of Matteo Trentin.
Eddie Dunbar, it is stuck on the back of this group.
That's his job done for the day, wasn't it?
Job done. As they start to move up now, and if you want to move up in this group, you've got to do it quick. And oh no, there's been an issue for one of the Mitchelton Scott riders. Mechanical issue. Is that a puncture?
Here we go, lining up 1 kilometre to go now. 1K to go through that corner. Van der Poel went tight to the right. He's on the wheel. The lead out now for Matteo Trentin. 2 riders in front of him. Jack Bauer on the front. Edmonton's trying to come up to help him. Thijs Benoot trying to bring Jasper de Burst through towards the front. Van der Poel, though, is right on the wheels of the lead out of Mitchelton Scott. Trentin is a few riders back from him. Matteo Trentin has got to find his way up here. Van der Poel's taking advantage of the Mitchelton Scott lead out. Case Ball in the red from Team Sunweb is going to try and take this one. Mathieu Van der Poel's in a perfect position. Trentin is trying to find his way up. He's going to try and use the lead out now of Case Ball. They're lining up for the finish. Trentin is there. Van der Poel looks back just to see where his rival is. Case Ball now opens up his sprint. Sasha Modelo is there. Van der Poel locked and ready. Here we go. Case Ball. Mathieu Van der Poel trying to come off the wheel. Trentin is there. It's Case Ball and Van der Poel. Trentin's trying to find his way through. They throw the bikes to the line. Mathieu Van der Poel feels like he's got it. He sits up and celebrates. Mathieu Van der Poel, the overall winner, through the bike of the line. They were bumping and punching with Case Ball, but what a sprint.
Yeah, he was close, really tucked in on the handlebars there, but he managed to readjust and he took the win.
Incredible. He almost went down. The elbows come together with Sunweb. Chase Bowl, incredible. They stayed upright and all the way to the line. He had to get himself past.
What a finish. Trentin comes through. His team as well did everything that they could do today. And again, Russ, it shows just how important that throw to the line is.
Yeah, he has won it there. They both lunged, but he's just timed it to perfection.
And Mathieu Van der Poel, his teammate, saying there, did you get it? And he said, yep. What a stage. And you've got to say, what a team. What a result with Mathieu Van der Poel just taking the stage from Case Ball and Matteo Trentin in third. The man of the moment taking the win in Manchester. In the end, the gap at the top of the general classification was 17 seconds to the man who pushed him all the way over the last few days, with Jasper de Burst taking third. All 3 took to the stage as the Flying Dutchman celebrated his win and was crowned champion. The Mitchelton Scott man did have the consolation of taking the Setterville Points Award.
Today was really possible to win because I think I was the faster at the end. Where I was coming from was really far. It's just a really good chance just throwing a bin. And then of course we are racers, we race to win. So today it hurt a little bit.
Rory Townsend just managed to hold on to the red jersey, and for the 2nd year in a row, Canyon DHB won the Iceberg Sprints Award. The Skoda King of the Mountains jersey staying on the shoulders of Jacob Scott of Swift Carbon Pro Cycling. The overall Wahooligan Competitivity Award went to Ineos's Dylan van Baal.
He did it, and he did it in some style. Mathieu Van der Poel, this year's Tour of Britain champion. Congratulations, Mathieu. And you did it with a bunch sprint. We never saw that coming. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it wasn't really a bunch sprint. It was a hard race today. Ineos really made it a hard race, and I think at the end everyone's legs hurt quite a lot. So yeah, I'm happy to finish it off like this.
Don't your legs hurt? Do your legs ever hurt?
Yeah, of course they hurt, but when you win, it hurts a little bit less than the others, I think.
I was saying you got attacked a lot in the finale there, and did you ever think maybe I can't hold this, you know?
Yeah, of course. I've been attacked like the last 40-50 Ks by a lot of guys, and of course the guys who stood close to me, I kept an eye on them, but yeah, you can't respond to everyone's attack, so also the guys that were like 1 minute behind me were dangerous.
One more quick question. Are you getting any information in the radio, or are you actually just going on feel and reading the race, the tactics on your own?
I knew the closest riders, but every time a group went away, I asked if they were dangerous at the director, and then he answered me as quickly as possible.
Look, the race fans on the side of the road watching on ITV4 as well have loved seeing you on British roads. You've been incredibly entertaining. What's your week been like in Britain?
Yeah, it was amazing. I think for me as well as for the team, we had great weather the whole week. We enjoyed ourselves, and I think this has been the perfect preparation for the Worlds for me.
Yep, 2 weeks tomorrow. So the final question is, What's the plan? Can you tell us so we can get a British winner?
Yeah, I think it's really unpredictable what's going to happen. It's a really, really long race. Yeah, if the roads are the same as here, it's going to be really tough, and I think the strongest guy will win no matter what happens.
I hate to tell you, the weather is not always like this, especially in Yorkshire.
Let's hope that the weather will be like this in 2 weeks.
Mathieu, hearty congratulations. Janto, thank you to you as well. That is it from us for another year. We'll be back in 2020 when the Grand Depart of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain takes place in Cornwall. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.